been ridiculously busy. I have been working on this massive commission for the last 3 months, and this week I have 100% just narrowed in and focused because I want to get it done. My camera is shaking, I'm sorry. If you could only see what my camera was currently standing on. Hence why I have to get this commission done, so that I can actually continue supporting myself as an artist. Go and follow my social medias, and if you want a commission, ask me. Anywho, so I figured since I've been so busy working on this massive artwork, I thought maybe I could teach you something. I'm going to teach you the techniques that I use for staining, and especially staining camphor laurel because it's a different type of wood to the pine and the ply that I usually work with. So sit back, relax, and enjoy while I show you how I stain wood. So first I get my wood stain and a palette I do not care about, and I put a small amount in so that I can water it down. I also get out my watercolor palette that I have my midtones on so that I can blend it in easier. If there are any leaks through the wood burning where you don't want, I just wash it out, which is what you just saw me do. By massaging the brush around through the wood grains, you're able to blend in the colours, going back and forth between your blacks and your midtones. You can create a gradient. Always wetting an area with water before I add dark gives me more control over the stain. If you'd like a video on how to identify where you need to put your highlights and your lowlights, let me know. Now that I have all of my midtones, I'm going to slowly build up my dark shadows. You have to remember that the stain will come up a lot darker and the whites will come up a lot whiter once the lacquer's on. Don't forget to cast your shadows onto the ground as well. Okay, now while that is all drying and we make sure that our low tones and our mid-tones are nice, I'm going to show you how I mix up my highlights. So the way that I do my work is that I put down the pigment into the wood so that it becomes a stain, which it's hard to explain. It's more, you want the wood to drink in as much pigment as possible. So when you put the lacquer on top, it doesn't shift or move. So it's better to just let it do its thing. If you have the right amount of pigment to water, it becomes a stain and you don't have the problem anyways. The only thing that I've found is that white and brighter colours often shift. I haven't been able to find a wood stain that's white yet, and I don't think I will. I think the natural wood colour or bleach is about the only way you're going to get true white. And who wants to work backwards from highlights? Am I right, artists? I know I'm right. So, how did I figure it out? How did I figure out a way around it? Easy. I decided that I would mix my highlights with my lacquer. So once they're dry, 100%, you're able to put your final thick coats of lacquer on, wet and dry sand between it, and it feels beautiful. I think that pyrography as an art form is most beautiful when felt and touched. And you can feel the smoothness of the wood and every single individual grain and cut and burn that I've made. It really brings the art to a different level. So, I'm going to teach you how I mix up my whites. Awesome. So I do have my little camera here, so I'm probably going to do it in this section, but I will show you. Now I use a water-based acrylic, or you can use a water-based gouache or watercolor, but it won't have as, like, its opacity won't be as high. If you want to go for just a real light sheen, say if you made an area too dark, and you want to go over it so that it's just slightly lighter without having to wash it out continuously, then this is how you do it with that gouache. So that's how you do it with the gouache. Otherwise, I use just a cheap acrylic. You don't need anything too dramatic because, well, you're mixing it with lacquer. Now, you're going to need to have a palette that you don't mind ruining. This one I've already ruined, so it's fine. I am doing it under here. I highly recommend not doing it on your artwork. You might screw up. Thought about swearing, decided against it. Yes, so I'm gonna put just a little blob there, since I'm only doing a little bit at the moment. And now I'll grab my lacquer. Whatever paintbrush you use, you definitely, yeah, you definitely don't want to use something that you're gonna want to use again. So use a paintbrush that is completely destroyed or that you don't care about at all. Mine is this handy dandy little lad. And now you're going to want to put equal parts lacquer to paint. And I just drip it in. Once you've got it all evened out, you're going to want to mix it in and make sure that it is 100% stirred in. You don't want any bits to shift. Honestly, nobody wants a white streak over anything. Over anything. Doing a mixing game. Alright. And there you have it. That's how I make my highlights. I am just going to zone out and do some highlights, and I'll give you some tips on how I make it look the way I do. But enjoy the rest of that. I start by figuring out where the light would hit my animals naturally, and then I lay down the lacquer and the white. As you can see, after I've laid down the white, I tap it with my fingers, and I'm trying to blend it in so that it isn't quite so pigmented. I just want it to be a sheen over the colours that are already laid. You don't want any bubbly, hard lumps by the time you're finished. You want it to be smooth and clean and crisp. Once you've done all of your highlights and you've gotten to this stage, the next thing that I do that really finishes and polishes up my artwork is that I deepen the blacks. Black is really hard to do because even when you burn it with the soldering iron, it's still going to look dark, dark brown. So there's only one way, well, two ways. There's only two ways that I've figured out how to make it black, black, truest black. The first is to use a ink marker, usually a Sharpie or a staining pen, also made by Sharpie in my case. Something that doesn't slip after it's been touched by the lacquer. Definitely do test pieces of wood, but I find that Sharpies work the best. The second is to get Japanese black wood stain. You need a really fine hand, and if it bleeds, you're kind of forked. For more experienced people, if you wanted to experiment with gradients from your truest black, I definitely suggest Japanese black stain. Feast Watson. This is the stain that I like to use the most. It seems to work with water so that you can shift with gradients, as you've seen with my elephants. And it also works well with really expensive, high quality watercolor. Don't know why, but I tested it and it works. So I am going to do my truest blacks, and unfortunately I can't show you what it looks like after you finish lacquering because I need to do exactly what I showed you on the elephants to the entire 6 feet of this artwork, which is what I'm going to be doing live on Twitch this week. Another plug. If you want to watch me make this artwork live, for the rest of the week I'm going to be doing this, and also I pretty much only do like wood burnings and sometimes watercolors live on Twitch. So feel free to go and follow with that little love heart subscribe, or at the very least just turn on your notifications on my Twitter or my Instagram stories, and you'll be able to figure out when I'm live in studio and you can ask me questions. I'm always happy to help. Now, let me show you how the truest black happens with this elephant. You use the Sharpie similar to how you use your white lacquer. You have to put down the ink, and before it's dried, I like to tap it so it blurs the edges so there's no harsh lines. It's a particular style I've developed and I really like. But if you want more of a bold look, just leave it with its harsh lines. I even cut my Sharpie so that I have fine tips, so I can get right into all of those cracks. And that's how I'm finding my black is black. If you've made the mistake of letting an area be too dark and you want to blend it, just add some more watercolors and try not to let it bleed. Okay, so that is how I take my artwork looking from this to this. I thoroughly enjoyed showing you how I make my art and the techniques that I've developed over the years, and I hope that you did too. If you like my videos and you would like to help me out, make sure that you subscribe or follow any of my social medias. So the shout outs for the week, which are my way of saying thank you to you. We are going to go over to TikTok. Thank you so much for supporting me. Instagram, both of them. Thank you so much to my Twitch supporters. I really appreciate it when you go and follow me. Maybe it'll be you next week. And lastly, but most importantly, thank you so much for supporting me on my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it when you guys subscribe. So please, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you did. Next week, I'm going to be doing something slightly different, I think, because I'm hoping this one will be finished. If you do want to see it, make sure you go and look at my Instagram, because I can't wait to post this. But next week's video is going to be just a smidgen different and very personal. I will see you there, my lovelies, or in my Twitch chat, or just hanging out in my Instagram comments. Either way, I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Next week, I think I'm going to be doing... I forgot how to speak. I'm going to assume it's because I'm 2 glasses of wine in. On brand.